Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins bringing you another Inside Sales Studio video, the Monday Morning Sales Minute. I'm here with Yvonne Gomez. Yvonne, how are you?
Excellent, Bob. Good to be with everyone here with you and the audience.
Well, Yvonne is the president of the AA-ISP Washington, DC chapter, an award-winning chapter, also founder and president of his own firm, Next Stage. And we're doing a mini-series on things that matter from the trenches. And Yvonne's going to talk to you about some benchmarking he's done and some actual site visits. And I think you're going to get a lot out of this. 3 Mondays in a row. The first one today, we're going to talk about metrics that matter. So, Yvonne, it's all yours.
Absolutely, Bob. So great. So the first thing that I wanted to share with the audience and the AA-ISP members is this notion of metrics. I'm not going to label these metrics that matter. Number one is being able to understand the difference between leading indicators and lagging indicators. Now, over the last 20 or so years, inside sales leaders have measured every single thing that you can imagine for inside sales reps. Okay, you and I know that. However, as things evolve, many individuals and many top-notch organizations are actually adopting what is called metrics, okay, which is actually understanding the difference between leading indicators and lagging indicators and creating ratios. Let me talk to you about a couple of them. One of them, for example, is the call to connect, okay, connects to meetings or meetings scheduled to opportunity source, okay? So one of the things that we're doing with our clients is actually looking at these metrics and blending the two of them to create a ratio, to create what I call effectiveness ratios or performance, okay? I'll give you an example. One of them is blending all your activities, which are leading indicators, emails, calls, social media touch, with the outcome of that. How many activities are required to create, for example, a meeting, okay? As you look at those ratios, okay, the bigger the ratio is the less effective, okay? The smaller the ratio is the more effective. And that information is actually going to allow you to look at many, many things. One of them is how effective is your target list or your campaign. Yeah. The second one is how effective is your rep. And most importantly, where in the sales process is this rep is going to need help with? Is it with opening? Is it with closing? Is it with overcoming objections? Is it with getting commitments? So the ratios are extremely, extremely important as you share those, with your account executive or inside sales rep or business development rep during your one-on-one meetings. One of the things that we promote is let's look at the numbers, let's look at the recordings, let's look at the metrics, and have a dialogue with that person in terms of where do you need to improve on. Now, these can be exponentially more powerful if you have a call recording technology. Yeah. Then you can actually look for the specific areas where you can actually improve. You can listen to, blend that with your ratios or your metrics, and being able to blend all these technologies and data points to coach and develop your sales reps.
So no longer is a standalone, how many dials did you make, for example, which people are still measuring that. You believe it's better to blend those into an activity bucket, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, those metrics are great, but when you have all the activity bucket, you look at the bigger picture, you have a better overview of the world of the inside sales rep and how they're doing and performing.
Okay. Last point here. You mentioned a ratio. Can you give us an example of a big ratio, a small ratio, and what you're comparing?
So, for example, the activity ratios, what we're looking for is, number of calls to connect. That could be one of them. Okay. But, at a most simplistic way, Bob, one of the things that I'm looking for is how many activities, whatever those activities are required to create a meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a ratio. So you look at all the activities, email, voicemail, calls, social media touches, and omni-channel approach with the outcome of your efforts. Okay, so that's one ratio that you're going to look at. So as we do, I call it the effectiveness ratio.
Yep.
and to create, to actually measure the effectiveness of each individual. You can start benchmarking as you look at, the data for all your reps. If you have 10 reps, you can actually look at the ratio for all your reps.
So example, if it takes me 100 activities to get one meeting, and it takes you only 30 activities to get a meeting, you're more effective than I am, right? So then do you look at, because less activity gets more meetings, what do you do with that? Do you find out why you get a meeting with only 30 activities and it takes me 100?
Well, Bob, this is what I call diagnostic tools.
Okay.
So what you need to do is look and ask some questions. Is it the list? Is it your campaign? Is it the opening questions? So you start diving into the specific areas to actually pinpoint the root cause of, why is it taking so many activities to get an outcome. And you include another factor, for example, the tenure of your reps. If you have a well-tenured reps, in my experience with my clients, the more seasoned reps require fewer activities because they really have mastered the message.
Yeah.
The newer reps, they require a lot more activities because they have not yet mastered the message, overcoming objections and some of the other dynamics of the front end of the sales cycle, like your opening statements. So it takes usually a larger amount of activities to create an outcome.
All right, Ivan, this was very interesting. I mean, a takeaway, I think, if you're watching this video is think about blending your metrics. If you're not getting a full activity ratio to completed meeting, get on that right away. Ivan, you'll be back next week talking about return of the phone booth. We're gonna leave it at that. Thanks for sharing your tip today, and we'll see you next Monday.
You bet. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.